pastor of Fremont United Methodist Church. And I thank you for joining us today. In 2021, Fremont United Methodist Church, during the Lenten season, is hosting a mission and ministry series. In this series, we will be inviting into conversation individuals or an individual that operates within a ministry or mission that is supported by the United Methodist Church and of interest to the people at Fremont United Methodist. I have invited several folk into conversation, a space and a place to talk about that which they are called to, and that in which they live out their own call in following Christ. We will be having conversation like the one that is to follow, and it will be presented each week during the Lenten season. On Friday mornings at 10 a.m., the videos will be released. And I invite you to come into those places and spaces, to join us with an open mind to hear, an open heart to dream, an open soul to believe that God calls us to places outside of ourselves, that God calls us into places maybe we've never even dreamed of yet. And as we do dream forward toward the rest of 2021, 2022, and beyond, perhaps in this series, you will find your heart strangely warmed for a new ministry, or revitalized for a ministry that you were aware of, but we have new ways that we can participate. Welcome to our Mission and Ministry series. Hello everyone, welcome back, or 4 or 2. I'm not sure which series this is, which one you all are getting. You all hear me say this every time, but I just want to welcome you all into this space and into our conversation today with Doug and Cindy Johnson, who are a part of Blessed2BlessU Ministries, along with being a pastor in the United Methodist Church and a pastor's wife and what all that means to go along with it. So I'm excited. For most of you all know Doug very well. And you are probably aware of this ministry work he does. But I also know it's been a little while since we've talked about what is this work that Doug and Cindy do? How did it come about? And what are the things that go along with it? So we'll begin our conversation with Doug and Cindy Johnson. Thank you so much for joining me. Most of the things we've done via Zoom. So y'all are my first live and in the space with me conversation. So thank you for coming and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, happy to have you all. My first question for you all is kind of a broad scope question. You know, in the Methodist Church, our mission is to make disciples of Christ for the transformation of the world. And what we do with it changes along the way. But my question for you all is, what is the mission of Blessed2BlessU Ministries?
I guess everybody's looking at me to answer that. We started out, Shannon, with a long mission statement, and too long for anybody to remember or anything else. And marketing person gave me a word of advice to get to everything you want to say so you can say it on the elevator ride.
Right.
So we tried to shorten everything up. Long and short of it is, our mission statement is to simply encourage or enable Christians to have a deeper walk with themselves and to use their deeper walk in an effort to bless other people. Blessed2BlessU Ministries, that's where we started and that's where we are.
All right.
We do it through mission work. I've preached quite a few revivals and crusades and those kind of things, and happy to do that, again. But I'd say most of the opportunities has come through mission work.
Okay.
So that's who we are, domestic and foreign.
So you have a discipleship piece,
Mm-hmm.
but you also have that missional, you say domestic and foreign piece
Yes.
that operates within this ministry setting as well.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we'll talk a little bit more about those pieces of it, but I'm real interested in knowing, how are you called into Blessed2BlessU Ministry? Because I know you're an elder in the United Methodist Church in full connection.
I am.
And most of the time that means that we are itinerant pastors on a circuit riding around for all of our days. But you've managed to discern something different. I'm going to guess Cindy was a part of that discernment process as well. And so how exactly did you get to that point?
Well, let me start by saying, as you mentioned, Cindy, as everybody that knows me and is having the chance to view this, and thank you for doing that, knows that Cindy is in fact the boss of everything. So I do what Cindy says, and everybody knows that. And
we listen to Cindy.
I willingly admit it. So there it is. Call me a whipped man if you want to, but there it is.
But you know what? Nonetheless, it is helpful to have a partner with us.
Amen.
That can redirect us when we get off course.
Amen. It is. I remind Cindy all the time that from the time I can remember, 8, 9, 10 years old, I prayed for a partner that I could boldly proclaim the word of the Lord to, and give me the courage to do that. And she has definitely done that, and she keeps me on, tries her best to keep me on the straight and narrow and keep me chugging along. So, but how we got to Blessed2BlessU Ministries, I am an elder in the United Methodist system and the church, and so proud of that, and still serve as a local pastor in a church at Zion United Methodist Church in the Seven Springs area, and love the folks, and they put up with me so Cindy will keep coming there. But we felt like, I guess about 10 or 11 years ago, really felt, I don't want to say I felt confined, but I just felt like that my call or our call in the ministry was more than at a local pulpit.
Gotcha.
Don't get me wrong, I live to preach. I love to preach. That's who I am. I tell our DS all the time in my review. I hate doing the political side of being a pastor, doing the paperwork side of being a pastor, but Sunday mornings and the opportunity to preach still make up for it.
It should be our jam.
It still makes up for it. So now, those listening may wish I didn't preach like I do, but anyway, so be it. We felt like we were confined a little bit, and as much as I'm proud of my Wesleyan heritage, I'm a Christian.
Sure.
I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe He died for my sins, and I believe He died for your sins. And I believe because God's holy presence has allowed me to know that and realize that, it's my job to take the gifts He's given me, which I grew up in construction, as everybody knows. Call it a gift or a labor of love or whatever you want to. That's what I know how to do. I know how to go out and work.
Sure.
And in the effort of going out, or the process of going out and work, why not share the gospel? God is open and available for everything. And so we've done a lot of mission work. We were very fortunate to do mission work with other folks. We wanted to do our own thing. We go on mission trips. I usually preach along the way of the mission where we're going. So I get a double blessing.
Sure.
And get to do the physical work in the midst of that. And God has seen that and allowed that. And the churches that we've served since then have been very, Zion Church is very involved in Blessed2BlessU Ministries.
Wonderful.
So it's almost joined together, intertwined, I guess you would say. And we feel blessed to be a part of it.
Excellent. Have anything you would add, Cindy, in that conversation about how you got there?
Well, as where we are right now, I don't think we had any idea that's where we were going to be when we first started. When we first started, we were very much focused on domestic missions,
Sure.
staying around home, locally, North Carolina, some out of state travel. But here we are in Tanzania, and that's been the focus of our mission. So that's a pretty credible story in and of itself, how we ended up there. Nothing but a God thing.
Well, tell me a little bit about this Tanzanian connection that you all have as you've walked through this journey, because it sounds like, you know, the goal was to provide discipleship opportunities and education opportunities and teach people about Christ, you know, bring them the word, as it is said, take them the word, give them Jesus, and ended up Tanzania is you know, you have to get in an airplane to get there.
Yes, you do. It'd be comfortable for you because you're going to be on the plane for a while.
Gotcha.
How we got there, it'd take much more than our 30 minutes together, but the long and short of it, I was teaching a class at Wayne Community College, given the opportunity to do that, and for a couple of years I did that, and one of my students came up to me one day right before class, and she, a Tanzanian, taking the class, and she asked me, had I ever considered doing mission work in Tanzania or going to Tanzania. I said, no, that's, you know, way too far for me and much more expensive. I mean, our international headquarters of Blessed2BlessU Ministries is at 201 South Pine, which is
Fremont,
North Carolina.
Right, that's
so
right.
You just don't put two together. I mean, we're not a huge organization. This is the CEO,
the COO, the CFO, and the janitor.
Any position you want to talk to, you're talking to one of these two.
Yes.
So yeah. And long and short, she asked me that, and she said, pray about it.
She was persistent.
Very persistent. Every class she would come to, have you been praying about it? Have you thought about it?
Wow.
And then after a couple of those, after a couple of those, she came to me and she says, well, I've got somebody there that's got a place for you to stay. And I said, now, you know, I've not said I was going. And then the next time, they've got places for you to preach. They want you to do a crusade here and a crusade, you know, all these other different things.
The things that are right up your alley.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
come preach.
I'm eating it up. You know, I'd love to preach, but then I'm thinking Tanzania, Africa, that's a long way away, you know.
Absolutely.
And it just worked like that. And they had the place to stay, somebody to carry me around, an interpreter, translator for me, had all this. And I still said, I'm not going, or I haven't said I was going. And she kept on and on and on, and I called a dear friend, a mission friend, Butch Huffman.
Okay.
And I said, Brother Butch, I said, how about going to Tanzania with me? And he willingly agreed. He's always ready to go anywhere and any time and do anything, and as long as it's serving the Lord. And so he and I took off to Tanzania. A week before, Cindy didn't think we were going, I don't think, and a week before we were to go, she asked me, she says, well, honey, what language do they speak there?
What language do they speak
I said, I don't know. What does it matter? You know, I speak English. They speak Swahili.
Okay.
And other languages within
colloquialisms.
Correct. Yeah. And she said also, well, where is Tanzania? I said, I'm pretty sure it's in Africa. Africa's a huge continent. It's the biggest continent in the world. So that narrows it down to what, you know.
Are you talking northern?
Exactly.
Southern?
Exactly. So I snuck into my office and looked it up.
Very good. And you're how far out? And you're looking it
up? A week away. So we're flying there, and you fly into, we chose to fly into Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and then go to Tanzania. And flying in, and Butch leans over to me and he says, Doug, he says, have you talked to the person that's meeting us? I said, no, I haven't talked to him. I said, we've emailed back and forth a couple of times. He says, have you seen pictures of each other? I said, no, haven't done that. He said, he does know we're coming, right? I said, well, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Lay over in Ethiopia about an hour, and I'm thinking about this. We get on the plane from Ethiopia to fly to Kilimanjaro to Tanzania. And I'll probably say this politically incorrect, and I don't mean no offense to anyone.
Understood.
But on the plane, Butch Huffman and myself, there was about 5 Caucasians on the plane, and the plane was full. Everything else was Africans.
Okay.
I punched Butch in the ribs. I said, Butch, I'm pretty sure they'll be able to pick us out.
Very good. Well, and you're quite a tall man as well.
He didn't know all that.
Yeah.
We get there. My partner that we're meeting in Tanzania, Rogers Mzavas, who's gone on to be with the Lord since then.
Okay.
But he met us there. We had a homemade sign made up, or a metal craft person make up the sign, all different colors. Welcome Doug and Butch, and had all these things. And so we were, man.
Was Butch comfortable when he saw the
yes,
sign?
oh yes. Yeah, well, he was comfortable anyway.
Lovely.
But yes, he knew he would figure it out and it would work out. And God just does things that way. And from there, it's launched into where we are now. We have a school there. We just their school year goes from January to December. We just started grade 4. Okay. Added grade 4 to our school. We had 3 preschool grades, and then 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and now 4th grade. We have 150 some odd children, students. We are there's no electricity still in our area. Okay. We have running water because we built a couple of water towers, and so we have gravity fed water that feeds the spigots when they open the tap. Okay. We have a generator runs our well. We're the largest employer in the village by far.
Wow.
We've built several classrooms, have a couple more to go. Our vision there is to have 7 grades or 7 levels. Right. Because at that point in the Tanzanian culture, they leave their home areas and go and get educated somewhere else. Sure. So that's where we are, and it's and God is just, as Cindy said, I did not go to this community. I did not go to this village, and it's literally a village to start a school. I never thought I was. Anybody that went to school with me or taught me in school, I was not a good student myself. Right. So why would I be interested? I wasn't called to that. I was called to preach. Sure. But God, the way God works.
God has a way of getting into those preaching moments.
He does.
Mm-hmm.
We met up at a crusade. I met up with the pastor that Pastor Rogers knew and helped set it all up. And one night at dinner, he told me of his vision. Okay. Was to start a school and everything else. And one day in the desert, as God does, he speaks, in many different ways. Mm-hmm. And he spoke, and here we are. So
what is the name of the village in Tanzania?
Kirwani.
Kirwani.
Mm-hmm. You try spelling that. It's very easy to spell. Kiruani. Kirwani.
I got really close.
There you go.
All right.
Kirwani is when I say village now, we're talking a real village.
African
yes,
village.
The road,
as we would imagine it to be.
Yes, the road going to Kirwani. I doubt any of our farmers listening have any paths that are as in bad a shape as the main road going to the village. Right. They do have, 2 years ago, they did bring electricity to part of the village, but we are a mile out in the bush from the village, so we're no electricity still.
Understand.
We use solar power.
Okay.
We're putting that on all our buildings. Our children have, if you've seen any of visit our website, we show videos and those kind of things. We have a full-time missionary there he's from Greenville, South Carolina, Steve Hendricks, and does a fantastic job. So, we use solar power to do that kind of thing.
Gotcha. Lovely. Mm-hmm. So what would you all say makes Blessed2BlessU Ministry unique?
Well, as Cindy and I were talking about that last night, and she said, well, everything that God makes is unique because God doesn't make any of us alike or the same. Right. There are lots of ways to do ministry. There's lots of ways to do mission work. Mm-hmm. I think maybe I try very, very hard and probably go overboard in what I want to call ecumenical ministries.
Sure.
Again, I'm proud of my Wesleyan heritage. Mm-hmm. I'm proud of, most of the time, I'm proud of Methodism. Sure. But we're about Christians. We're about making disciples, making Christians or encouraging Christians to turn into disciples. Certainly. And I don't think that Peter or anybody else is going to be at the gate and say you got to have a cross and flame, or you got to have any other.
Well, as I've said often, don't tell the Baptists down the road, but we're all going to be at that banquet table together. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we try hard to do that, and Blessed2BlessU Ministries in Tanzania, the main church we work with is the Assemblies of God.
Okay.
The Tanzanian Assemblies of God, and part of the agreement I have with the folks there is we won't make this a Methodist thing, and you can't make it an Assemblies of God thing or any other. We have.
It's just a God thing.
It's just a God thing.
Gotcha.
We have several Muslim students.
Okay.
They get a Christian education, and they take home Christian drawings and Christian stories and share them with their family, just like any other child does.
Sure.
We've had folks that have come to Jesus in a relationship with Him through the school. As you well know, that it's the biggest field out there is through our children. And it's not any different anywhere else in the world.
Absolutely.
So God is working in that. We don't probably have as many rules as a lot of other groups may have, but because we don't go with expectations. I learned early, if you're going on mission work, don't try to expect God or expect something to happen. I tell people all the time, maybe the person God is changing or wants to change on this trip is you.
Right. Absolutely.
I dare say I've been blessed. I know I have been blessed much more on mission trips than I have ever blessed other people.
Certainly.
So,
and in preaching moments, I have found oftentimes I preach to myself more than I preach to the others. And that's uncomfortable as well.
There's
that's
that
uncomfortable
too.
As well.
There's that too.
I love the idea of the ecumenicism that can come through the process and the place and the space.
Yeah.
It sounds very UMCOR in the long run. UMCOR's job is to be there at the beginning and be there till the end.
Yes.
And they're not there to proselytize necessarily or make you become Methodist or say you can't have something because you don't believe the way we believe. The idea of that ecumenism process is it's open to all the individuals, all the children.
We try to very much be that way, but now there is no doubt, and there will be no doubt, that we are Christian.
Certainly.
And we are serving Christ, and we're not afraid to call on Christ. And we pray, we encourage prayer.
Sure.
We talk about the blood of Christ. We talk about salvation.
Sure.
And believe every bit of that, and teach that, and pray that, and encourage that. However, you will not be turned away from our table if you haven't been blessed with that yet.
But that's very Jesus. That's such a Jesus way to do it.
You and I talked about the grace of Wesley and the means of grace. And everything we do, we try to be a means of grace.
Love it.
Our work in Africa and Tanzania, though, is really as much as we are about missions. Our work there, because maybe it's so far away and because maybe the community where we're serving is so... I don't want to say economically deprived, but there was just no business there. There's nothing there for an economy. And so we don't go there, our main idea or main focus to build something as we do in other places. We go there to support them. Sure. We use Tanzanian workers to build our buildings. We go to teach Christ and to teach Jesus and try to get those Tanzanian workers to understand that Jesus is a part of their life too.
Absolutely.
So that's more our focus in Tanzania, I would say. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it's probably very, very good.
As a good old preacher, long way around.
Really? Now, Cindy, is there anything you'd like to add to his answer?
I think he's about covered it all. I will say what touched my heart in this, after Doug came back from that trip, he said he told our family that we had to go experience Africa too. So the next year, our family spent Christmas in Tanzania. And it was the most beautiful Christmas I think I've ever experienced. There was no gift exchange, no Santa Claus, none of the stress, hustle, bustle of Christmas that we have here. It was just very peaceful. And I remember Christmas Eve night, we just sat out among the stars and sang a few Christmas hymns, and it was just lovely. I said, "Oh, I wish we could do this every year." It was
just
just
the way to go.
And it really touched our hearts, and especially my daughter Katie. She was a junior in high school at that time, and when we got home, she said, "Daddy, we can't stop here. We've got to do something for them." And she was very adamant about that, so much that she planned a fundraiser, a 5K run, and said, "We're going to raise enough money to build our friends a well, because they had no drinking water." We had to be very careful while we were there and what we ate and drank. But anyway, sure enough, she put it together, and God bless that fundraiser. We raised about $10,000 to actually build or drill the first well.
We raised 10. It ended up costing about $18,000. The well's so deep, and it's in rock. But with that fundraiser, we did raise $10,000. When she asked me about it, I said, "Sure, you don't want to discourage your children."
Never.
And so I said, "Yeah, honey, we'll do
Sure,
that."
we'll do that.
Yeah.
And get a couple $100.
Yeah, I'm thinking in my mind a couple hundred. Yeah, we'll raise that, and that'll be a start for us, and then carry it on. And she said, "Well, I've got a goal that we're going to raise 5,000," and I about fell out of my chair, but I caught myself as a good old dad would, and said, "Yes, we'll make that our goal." And thinking, "There ain't no way that's going to ever happen." He ended up raising about $10,000 that first.
That was a God thing in and
First
of
5K,
itself.
Within another month or two, we had the 18,000 raised, and we drilled the well that summer.
And of course, for our Katie, that wasn't enough for her. Then she harped on us, "Well, now we've got to build a school for them."
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, Katie. And she came up with this project, and it was going to be Project Katie, keeping all tots in education.
Love it.
Yes.
Well done.
And so then we started fundraising for the school, and we added a golf tournament to our efforts. And with the help of Doug's sister and her husband, they put it together, and it was beyond our wildest expectations, the funds that were raised. And so we did exactly that. We started our school, and we have we call it an Adopt-A-Kid program, where you can actually adopt a kid for $30 a month, which...
Not really adopting, a sponsor a child.
Well, yeah,
Sponsor. Yeah, and I understand what you're
We call
saying.
it Adopt-A-Kid.
Sure.
That's just our name for it, but...
And that pays for, with our 150 kids that we have now in the school, and we feed them 2 meals a day, we uniform, teachers, we have vans a van that picks up and delivers some of the children, not all, but some of them. If you live further than a mile away from the school, you can get on the van. Most of these folks, there's no education, no economy, as I've said. When we first went there 10 years ago, I found out that in the local situation, if a family was well off, then their income for the year would have been about equivalent to about $200 US a year.
Wow.
So it's just, but it's a whole different culture. It's a whole different culture.
Right, it's a different understanding.
And to our ministry, we don't try to go change.
Right.
I'm not trying to make little Americans out of people.
Yes.
As great as we are and as blessed as we are, we are trying to
Let them be
open up-
the best Tanzanians
Exactly,
they can be.
exactly.
Right.
And so there you are, and it's just to see them smile, as we found out. They're so excited about the well. They're so excited about the school. And the Adopt-A-Kid program that we have, and other support that we are blessed to get. So far, we've been able to keep the school running. They contribute some themselves. This past year, the COVID, we suffered a little bit in that, but still able to carry on and go through. We sent home delivered to the huts and whatnot where our children go or stay or live, homework assignments and those kind of things.
Okay.
So we tried to do the best we could do.
It sounds like you pivoted there just like we pivoted here.
We try to now. They're not quite as serious as we are about it here in the United States. The Tanzanian government, for instance, says they tackled COVID after 2 months and let everybody come back to school. Fortunately, we've not had a severe outbreak of COVID in our community. I don't know of any of our students that have had COVID.
Sure.
I have no idea how.
Grace of God.
Nothing but the grace of
Grace
God.
of God.
And praise Him for that. It's a God thing. I mean, we have work in other areas, but that by far is our main.
Sure. So how would you know, this is always the hard question, how would you know if the work to Blessed2BlessU Ministries was complete? What would that look like if it were complete?
Yeah, I think it'll be, for us, it'll be complete when the Lord calls us home.
Okay.
Our part of it.
Sure.
I don't know that, how do you ever stop sharing the blessings of God? You know, He called Abraham, He said, brother, I'm going to give you all this, more than you can even see or dream of. I'm giving it to you so you can be a blessing to all the people and all the nations of the earth.
Right.
Well, until we've accomplished that and tackled that, and you don't have to look far to know we haven't done that yet.
Exactly.
Until that's done, then our work will never be complete.
I gotcha. That's a fair answer. I definitely will accept that.
Yeah, will it be at the school in Tanzania? You know, I can't tell you. I don't know. I never dreamed we would be involved in a school in East Africa.
Principal Johnson.
I never dreamed. It was not when God called me to preach, and I could share that story with you too. When He called me to preach, I do not remember Him saying, and by the way, we're going to start a school.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think most of us get called. I don't think God is that clear to us as to what we're going to do when we get called. It's just a call that we're called to follow.
Yes.
And you do it with, I wish I could do it with the willingness you had eventually just to kind of walk through it and know you're going to Tanzania and you never seen a picture of this man. I mean, you're telling that story, and all of the people that are watching this know me, know that I was checkboxing all the names. I was like, wait a minute, who is he? What's his next of kin? I've got all this list of things that just kind of caused anxiety within my own soul.
Yeah.
But it takes
There you go.
moments like that and leaps of faith like that get us to a school in Tanzania.
You know, there may be a fine line between faith and just craziness.
Well,
You know, I'm not sure.
I don't even know how to get in touch with Him if I needed Him,
for real though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
really,
But I did.
Well, so
really changed.
you know, my final question for both of you all is, what are the ways, the tangible ways, the things that, and prayer is always welcome into
Amen.
any ministry setting, and we
Certainly.
would welcome that for you all. But what are the other ways that Fremont United Methodist Church could assist the Blessed2BlessU Ministries? You did mention your Adopt a Kid or Sponsor the Kid kind of program as one of those ways, but what are other ways that we could step in alongside you and do this work?
Well, first of all, please don't stop praying.
Yeah,
I can't say I know all the Fremont congregation anymore because it's been so long since I was a member myself, or we were members. But most of the Fremont people that know me, and I know them, they've been very supportive, spiritually and physically and financially and everything else, and we really appreciate that.
Sure.
It's amazing what God can do and does do with the resources that we bring Him. I'm not just talking about money now or even prayers now, but presence too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the big thing about Zion Church where I serve is almost, except for the past 2 years, almost every foreign trip I've been on, somebody from church would go.
I'm with you.
Several, in fact, usually would go with us.
Mm.
And there's always that opportunity.
Okay.
There's also opportunity for the local stuff we do and for the stuff a little bit closer to home. We've done a lot of work in the Dominican Republic. We've done a lot of work in Haiti and Jamaica and Bahamas and ready and willing and love the sun, obviously. The sun up there and the sun shining up there too.
That's right.
Did some work in the Virgin Islands and even in the United States. And we'll continue to do that as opportunities present themselves. So if you're interested in going on a trip, we'd love to set one up and help you get it together, even lead you on the trip if you want us to, or help you get it, head it off, and we'll wave to you and then welcome you back. Or we'll go with you. We love to do that.
Well, I personally say, and I think you and I have served together in funeral capacities along the way, I feel much more comfortable when he is standing beside me and we do those kinds of things. But
I'm the type that'll get on a plane, not even know who's going to meet you. So you got to be careful with that.
This is where Cindy, you and I could have some conversations about those opportunities.
But the church, please keep praying for us.
Indubitably.
There is a financial, everything we do, like it or not, there's a financial side of everything. It costs to get on a plane. It costs to drill a well in Africa. It costs to send a child to school. It costs to pay. We pay teachers. We buy paper. We buy pencils. All that stuff costs. We buy food for them to eat. If you're going to provide them food to eat, you got to have a cook to cook the food for them to eat. We have all that. If you're going to have a van to pick up kids, you got to buy gas for the van.
Sure.
There's a lot of repairs for the van. All these things cost.
Right.
And we would welcome any kind of support that way.
Okay.
I don't know if I should say this or not. Cindy and I, Blessed2BlessU Ministries doesn't pay us anything.
Sure.
The money is going to one of the ministries that we're a part of.
Sure.
Now we do buy a few stamps with the money, and there's that kind of overhead, if you call it.
But costs are covered. Yes. Yes. But you're not in it for the financial gain at all.
No, you can come and look at my house and